Let's talk about that. Why it's so important to free ourselves from unwanted feedback and the opinions of others.
Did you push record?
Thanks again for tuning into Second Act TV. I want to welcome Carla Rieger back to Second Act, the host of the Mind Story Speaker Podcast and the co-founder of the Mind Story Coaching Academy. Carla, thanks for staying over.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Carla has been on Second Act numerous times. We'll link to some of our past segments. Carla is, well, you're basically in the business of bringing out the best in people and making us live, helping us live the best life that we can. And to that, as we're, going into new relationships, maybe creating a new career, somehow we get a lot of feedback and opinions from others that they might, it might be well intended, but it really doesn't serve us. Quite frankly, as you point out, it can be harmful. Let's talk about that. Why it's so important to free ourselves from unwanted feedback and the opinions of others.
Yeah, well, you were saying something great, which is when you get older, you actually don't care as much about what people think, which is great. But still, people are always giving their opinions, and sometimes it's helpful, but mostly, I'm going to say mostly it's not. And so I'd like to give your listeners permission to not listen to it, except in a few occasions. And because I think a lot of us stay stuck because we're in two ways. We're either fearing criticism or we're chasing praise. So when I say feedback, it could be positive or negative, and we're editing ourselves, right? And it blocks our creativity and our natural, authentic self, I think.
It does. It does. I had a really an experience with it, which I think that's why it struck a chord with me when I heard your podcast. Is I had lunch with some close friends, and this was a couple of years back, and I was under stress with doing this channel and the choices I made, and the opinions I was given of what I should be doing were frankly insulting. And that's when I realized, sometimes you just, how do you deal with that, especially when it's friends?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I know people will start with, hey, do you want my opinion on your blah, blah, blah? And so if people say that, often I ask a question, I go, oh, what's motivating you to offer that? I go, well, I was just, watching what you're doing, and I just had some thoughts. And so if it's a friend, I kind of go, well, you know what? Right now, I'm just kind of focused in a certain direction. I'm sure they're great responses or great ideas, but right now I've taken lots of suggestions, and right now I'm not going in that direction, but thanks. Anyways, maybe I'll ask you another time. And, sometimes, of course, people will still get offended by that. Or what will happen is they'll say, they won't really ask permission. They'll just dive in there and start giving you the feedback. And so then what I say usually is, oh, thanks. I'll think about that. And not try to defend myself. Here's some rules of feedback. If the person giving it doesn't really understand deeply what you're doing, and they're not trained in how to give constructive, deep feedback, it's really best to just, not either create a boundary, I don't want to hear it, or thanks, and then just disregard it.
Yeah.
Or, take, the tiny little bits and then let the rest go. I find if you start arguing with people who are not good at giving feedback, it just creates kind of bad blood between you. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, exactly. It does. It creates really bad blood. And I think what I'd like to give our audience is maybe more of an understanding why this can really derail you if you care about the opinions of others. And yeah, like you said at the beginning, I did say that is as we age, we say we don't have to care anymore. But to some extent, that's difficult. It's difficult to say I don't care, and then it's hard to actually not care because we do like praise, and we do want people to like us. However, and as you said at the beginning, seeking praise can be just as harmful as caring about opinions that you don't like.
Yeah, and some people, I was just helping a client because I teach coaching, and she had a practicum student, and the student told her ahead of time, I don't really want to coach with you because I've been told I'm quite uncoachable. And she says, no, really, I can help you, and it's free, and give it a try. She was sort of desperate for someone to practice on. And I warned her, don't coach someone who says they're uncoachable.
Yeah.
Because sure enough, everything she said, there was something wrong with it. He just nitpicked everything she did. And, really that was about him. It was a good learning experience for her. It was really about him. That's his worldview. And maybe that was true with your friends or not, I don't know. But, their worldview is to nitpick, right? And find things to fix, right? And they just don't want to kind of open their minds to something new, especially in the case of someone being coached, is he just didn't want to change. And so he would make her wrong instead of saying, hey, maybe I'm just being closed-minded. And in the case of someone who just wants to give their opinions, I certainly have friends like that or colleagues, they just want to give their opinion. They just want to hear the sound of their voice, and they have an opinion about everything. And there's nothing wrong with that, and there's something wrong with them. It's just, for you in that moment, it's not very useful. And what's really interesting is a lot of us are programmed, say by school and parents, to have to take feedback. Like people say, you should be able to take criticism, because if you can't, that means you're fragile and you'll never grow and you'll never learn. But again, unless the person's really skilled and they have your best interest at heart, and it's not useful, right? But we get it, right? In music class, oh, you can't sing very well, or you're in sports, right? Just people who kind of kill your creativity or kill your drive because, even at work, right? Performance reviews, people don't really know what they're doing. And it really, will undermine you. So it's very important not to take that on, like go into those situations going, okay, I know I'm going to hear unskilled feedback. So I'm just going to be like, ducks, when rain hits them, the water falls away, like water off a duck's back. Yeah. It's like, and then, it just goes away. But you have to sort of get yourself in a frame of mind. You have to kind of hypnotize yourself ahead of time. It's just like, this is about them.
Right.
This isn't the kind of feedback I need, but I'm not going to react. I'm just going to be neutral about it. And, okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks.
Yeah. And, again, it's easier said than done. But I think the importance here is not even, okay, so one is to process the opinions of others, not let it affect us. The other is also, do you tend to give opinions or unwanted feedback and you don't even realizing it, how you may be affecting that person? And I bring that up because, again, something you just said kind of clicked in here. And that is, even when you're given praise about something, it can steer you in the wrong direction if that's not really where you want to go. Like, I remember as a child, I was praised for certain skills I had or certain classes I was good in, but that wasn't my passion. And it did derail me for a while.
Yeah, I know people always, you're going around as a group and everyone's supposed to say something nice about you, right? I don't know if you've ever been in those kind of groups. And, and people would say, you know what I love about you is you're so organized.
You have really nice friends.
Your shoes that you wear are like amazing. And then, everyone else is, you're like an amazing listener. So yeah, I don't like those exercises. I actually used to, teach people to do that when I was a trainer in organizations, and I realized actually that messes people up more than it helps them.
Yeah.
Because again, people don't really see you, they don't really know you, they don't know how to give feedback in a way that's useful, and then in the end, yeah, people walk away going, oh, that's all I'm good for is I'm organized.
Yeah. Well, Carla, we're starting to come to the end of the segment. I'd like to close it by giving something actionable, and that is to both recognize when somebody's giving good feedback or good opinion that perhaps you should listen to, and how to perhaps give it as well. What is it about feedback or opinions that is good?
Yeah, and the more you learn it, you can teach people, say, that are in your life a lot. We're going to give you feedback whether you like it or not. So first off, I think you need to really understand the context, right, of what they're working with, whether it's, a book you're writing or a YouTube show that you're putting on or whatever it is. Like, they really have to understand the context as much as possible, or you need to give it to them if they don't have it. And secondly is to check your own, make sure you know what you're talking about, and then check your own intention. Like, why do I want to give feedback?
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of see, is there like, I want to, come across as sort of knowledgeable or more superior, or do I really care that this person gets something useful, right? So make sure you're kind of from a caring place. And then the third thing is to not say what you don't like, but think through, okay, I don't like that this person's, I had to give feedback to someone because she talked a bit like this and it was in her nose and it was hard to listen to. And so I said, what would really improve is if you talked from your chest voice down here. And I taught her, what I meant, and she tried it, and then she listened, and she goes, oh, I get it. That's super helpful. And, because I made it a win for her, and I showed her how to get there, instead of, when I listen to you, it really irritates my ears.
Yeah.
And just leave it right there.
Yeah. Basically, it's don't be critical unless you have something to offer. If it that's really good advice. And yeah, I do. I think that's one of the best things about aging is that we don't have to care about opinions anymore. So don't. As hard as that may be to do, but it truly does serve us best in living the life and creating the life that we really want. So Carla, I want to hold you over for one other segment based on another one of your podcasts about trustworthiness. So we will link to all of your information. People want to get a hold of you directly, and we'll see you on our next segment on Second Act TV. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too. We'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.